Welcome to Attican Plays Pharaoh, A New Era. Alright, hi, this is Attican and welcome to Series 1, Episode 23 of our playthrough of Pharaoh, A New Era, the campaign missions. And in part 1 of this, which was Episode 22, we built the plan for what we're doing right here. Now we're going to see if we can work that plan. We planned our work, let's see if we can work our plan. And remember, the first part of the plan is to leverage this area here as a good source for people so that we can get people quickly into our town and get that labor going and get especially that pottery going very, very quickly. So we're going to invest a little bit of time and money right up here to turn this into a housing block, a more sanely designed housing block, let me say, and a worker loop here. So we're going to have a worker block out here, and it's going to have two purposes primarily. Well, three purposes. It'll be storage yards for our bazaar lady, right? It'll be food. Eventually it'll be pottery and whatever else, whatever beer, whatever else we need to develop this block. And it will be the hunters, because right there, right next to the mansion is a spawn area for antelope. Beautiful place to hunt. And there's one of the things the bazaar lady will need, the food. So we're going to be able to put food in there. You notice I just deleted the existing granary and the existing hunting lodge. They were right in the middle of that block. And what I want to do is take the oracle and the altar, because that's going to make people consume less goods and make our hunting better. So that's really strong. And then we're going to integrate entertainment into the block. Now, there's two ways that entertainment can work in a block. First way is to have the entertainers themselves, as they walk to their venue, pass by your housing. And if they do, then you'll get the entertainment bump from them walking by. The second way is like this, where you have the block, and this is the way those senator or worker blocks that we've been using do it as well. You have the entertainment in the block open so that what happens is the entertainers will go there, start doing their juggling and their music and their dancing, and there will be a walker that comes out of that and walks around wherever. And if you have blocks set up, he'll walk around your housing block, and that's how the kind of the word is spread about the entertainment, and that's how the entertainment bonus goes to all the houses. So this way, by just making that one simple change with that one little extra space there, so we'd have an intersection, we can get good entertainment down there and keep evolving those houses. So there's step one. Use that block and get it going. Step two is to set up our worker area down here, where we want to get the pottery going, and really pretty much all of our industry. So what I'm doing here is looking to see, okay, the main thing whenever you decide where to put a block, of course, is the water. You got to make sure that you can put water down. So that's what I'm doing here, is measuring out to make sure that water would be within the confines, so to speak, of the block that we're building. And I feel like I goofed up right here. I think I made that too short. I really do. But notice here too, I'm not holding down and counting like I used to. It turns out what I noticed is if you were to go on that road and count 5 by holding down on it, it charges you to build the road again. And here's where I realized, yeah, I goofed. I made that outer ring way too short. I goofed. I was thinking 20 because that's what I often use for the worker blocks, but it really needs to be 24. So it's 20 there, and we're going to add 4 to it. And notice I didn't actually, I let go of it, so I wasn't actually being charged for that E20 again, just to count it, and then added the 4 to it. And notice here, instead of hanging on what I've already got, instead of building like 6 and 16 and 6 and 16, I'm actually building 5 and 15 and 5 and 14, if that makes any sense to you. Anyway, what we're doing is setting up just a few basic houses so that we can recruit down here in this area. And interesting thing about the recruiting is you just need unemployment. You don't need unemployment in that block or in that house. What I mean is, if you have one house and you had overall unemployment in your city, and you had 55 industries that went by that one house, all 55 of them could get their workers out of that one house. And that's just something to be aware of when you're planning this out. You just need, and you'll see a great example of it coming up here when we go up to that island right up there just to the north of us. A great example of what I'm talking about. So that little block right there is going to be our recruiting, our dock area. So I made sure it was 6 wide so that we could put multiple storage yards up through there, and that's its main job. Then you go over 5 from that, 3 to have for the storage yards from the first one, and then we want to go over here and set up a working area where we can make sure that we can recruit off of that little house right there. And now we're just going to set up a simple little rectangle that we're going to recruit. And this is going to end up being our clay pits and potters. In fact, even also our military. But that's the next step. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead and put in the barley fields. We're going to use a simple method of skipping a space between each column of them, and then alternating roads and irrigation ditches. So if you just have a road coming out like that, like so, now all of them are connected to roads, and then the alternate gap, you fill that in with irrigation ditches so that all the fields are irrigated. And there we go. Now we've irrigated all 6 of those fields, and they all road connected. And if we put a worker camp in there, and I decided to put it in that nice little cubby hole right there, and just to be certain, put a couple more roadblocks to make sure the walker to get that hiring done doesn't go out into the floodplain to find workers. Set up the fire protection, and we've actually kind of started the beer, because the first thing you have to do is grow the barley, right? But here's the main thing we really want to get going right here is we want 6 of these clay pits down here. So we're going to get 6 clay pits going, and we're also going to get make sure they don't collapse or burn up. We're also going to get our potters going as soon as we have some people. And you got to make sure that you turn on the buying for that bazaar, because now that we have the new defaults, by default, I've got them set up on mine to be nothing. So they could have had lots and lots of game meat and nobody be eating. So this is a pretty strong start, because we're already growing barley. We've got some unemployment now, and we've got all our clay pit staff. So now we're going to throw down 8 potters, and now we've got that 6 and 8 we wanted to get our pottery business off and running. And you notice we put in our worker block down here, we put temples to Ra and Ta, because that we saw in the episode 1. And if you haven't seen that, please go back and watch that. Then come back here. But we saw that temple complex to Osiris actually keeps Osiris happy up to a population of was it 800, I think, or 8,000. What was it? It was a lot. Sorry, I don't remember. Hang on, I gotta go look that up. Okay, it was 8,000. I think the problem was I just couldn't believe it was that high. But Osiris is going to be happy the whole time because of that temple complex, which just kind of makes you think, might want to build temple complexes sooner rather than later. So, anyway, where were we? Okay, we're getting our. We're going to put in something to take the barley in, and we've got one storage yard for the pottery, one for the clay, I think is how it worked out. And there probably should be two for the pottery. But at any rate, we're just adding some people in, and we're really, I mean, I've added them here because I'm here, but it probably would have been better to add them back up at the up here in our more developed block, because eventually those will get fed. They'll all morph into ordinary cottages just from what we've given them right there. Just the food and some entertainment will get them all to ordinary cottage. So now we've got pottery producing, and we want to go find all the buyers of it, which is actually Dunkel Oasis. I think it's Kamoon is our other one. I'm searching for it. Here you go. There it is. Kamoon. Which eventually will be our enemy, but right now, if they're going to buy from us, by golly, we're happy to sell it to them. So we're going to set up pottery to export 1/0. And you want to kind of get some made before you open the trade route, just like we did in Dunkel Oasis, so that you don't have the trader go buy before you have anything ready for him to buy. And now that we've got that going, and we've got some cash, we're going to go straight to the military. We're going to get an academy and a recruiter and get an archer fort and get started building this stuff. Kind of dead on people right now. No unemployment. Now we have some unemployment. So what are we going to do here? Oh yes, we got to get ready for the beer, because we've already got the pottery going, but now we want to get a recruiting road. So we'll go 19, which is really 20, and 5, which is really 6, and 19 or 18, which is really 20, and set up a working block over here hanging off of our housing block. We're going to set it up so it doesn't collapse or burn up. And this is going to be where we do our brewers. So we'll put brewers in, and as we get available workers, we'll add more breweries and keep expanding our beer business and start exporting the beer. So remember, our step one was fix up the existing housing so it's useful for us. Step 2 is pottery. Step 3 was military, and now step 4 is beer. And we kind of got beer started early by getting those fields planted early. And we're already making beer from what was left over from the small harvest we had that partial year. And I'm looking here at the overseer of the workers to see just exactly how many people are unemployed. And going through these things and just getting a feeling for everything, including the gods. We've got to watch the gods, because Osiris may be happy, but Ra and Ta, they don't get quite so much joy out of their temples. There we go. Here's the second pottery storage yard. So here's an attack on Niken. And I'm checking here, we only got 12 archers. Now, my advice to you is don't send your troops off to die. My other advice to you is put a flippin' physician in your housing blocks on time, which I obviously didn't do. So now I'm going to correct that mistake. Did put one in the original block, but forgot it down here. And you can see it's the plague has struck that block, and that's no good. That's shame on me. It's I mean, it's okay. Eventually the physician will clear it all up and all will be well. But see, there some of them are getting better, some of them are getting worse. It's spreading, but anyway, you'll catch up with it as soon as you get a physician in. And there you see Niken was defeated. So we lost Niken. And remember, it was one of the ones that was in Nesu anyway, so not necessarily the end of the world there. And there was no way to get a decent army ready to defend it, so we just skipped it. Now we've got beer going. We set up a storage yard for it, and now look at this. Somebody wants to give us copper. So we're going to go over to our military area, put a storage yard down, and have it accept copper. There we go. Now we got a bunch of that beautiful copper. That is a valuable gift right there. Got 1,100. We would need 1,600 to do a complete fort. So I decided to go ahead and hang on, put in another archer fort because I'm probably going to want 2. I mean, I tend to do 4 infantry, 2 archer until we get the chariots. That's what I tend to do with the military, and so we're just going to keep going with that. Now we got a gift of beer. That's nice. We're just going to turn around and sell it. Got a little unemployment, so we're going to bump up our beer industry a little bit more. There you can see we're selling off there. Oh, it's beautiful. We sold pottery, we sold beer. The money's hanging in there. So now we're looking to the north. We've got 2 aspects to our military. We've got to do land our army, and we got to do our navy. So remember our next thing, though. After we started with the military, I'm actually ahead of myself. When we started with the military, we said, fix up that first area, do the pottery, start on the military, do the beer, go after the gold. Now we're going to go after the gold. And now why? Our money looks pretty good, and we've got these good exports. Well, the reason is that this mission is called Civil War, and we know that there's going to be all kinds of disruptions to our trade routes. All kinds of stuff is likely to happen to us that's going to prevent us from being able to maintain that money all the time. So we need other sources, and we need to be able to get this gold as a source. It's almost like the gold is like a good export. It's the equivalent of a decent export, really. Even way up there with this kind of inefficient deal, it's still a good export. So what I decided to do here, there's 2 ways I could have done this. I thought about both. One is to build this recruiting loop like this, because we know we've been really happy so far on hard with these 20 long loops, 20 by 6 by 20. And they've been very good for us. So I decided to go ahead and do that and recruit off of that down to the housing, so that we don't have to put the housing so far out into the desert. Now, the other alternative, of course, would just be to take our water and run it out there 31 and get it up there as close to the mines as we could get it. But decided to go this way. It's pretty easy to do, really. You just kind of connect them up and decided to kind of turn the road off to the side, and then we'll have some houses to recruit up there. We'll get our entertainment in. We'll build a little block here that has the water coming up and all the services, and I'm going to just let you watch it. You know how we build these blocks. Put in the comments if you got any questions. Now, the one thing that's a challenge here, I'm seeing this, want to make sure that we had housing for the palace to recruit from, and down below that, we're going to have to connect that ferry landing and set up some hunting so that we can feed the folks that live over here on the gold mining side, right? And of course, we have to have houses out there at the end so that the gold mines and eventually an architect post up there will be able to recruit. And there I decided, since I have to connect that and run through, let's just put our housing right, there you go, right next to the road, like so. And then you can put the road blocks in so that the upper part is the worker block, in this case just the mines and the architect, but it could be other things as well if we wanted. And then the lower part, of course, is the housing block. And here you can see that our housing over here is doing a nice job of evolving to ordinary cottages. That's the stage where they have some entertainment and food, water, access to a god, but they're not doing anything with pottery or beer or schooling or anything like that. It's a good, actually it's a good solid worker block when you have ordinary cottages. There we go. Now we should start seeing these gold mines getting busy. There we go. That's what we want to see. And now we want to make sure they don't collapse on us. All right, so far so good. We've done the original housing, we've done the pottery, we've done the military, we've done the beer. We're starting on working on the gold. Now we're only halfway done on the gold. Remember, we've got to have two separate housing blocks in order to get those two gold mines up there to the other side. But it's okay. We need 4,500 people anyway. So I want to make sure that this housing block was stable. So architecture, fire, police, and a physician. So they should be able to do okay for a while. And here comes gold down. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And yes, could have made it a little more efficient for those three by putting the connection to the palace up higher, up on the kind of, as we're looking at it on the right. However, we've got these other two, and I thought it looked kind of cool to have the gold mines make their delivery right into the front of the palace there, right the door, right between the guards. That's the way it should be. Actually, they probably should be coming in the back door, but there is no back door. Looking good over here with our ordinary cottages. I'm really liking this, and it's a great way to get you're getting more bang for your buck, because when we place these houses, because they're being fed and entertained, they're automatically evolving up to ordinary cottage, and instead of the 28 that's in those shanties or whatever they're called, those mud looking things, you're getting I forget how many it is. It's probably like close to twice as many people in each house. So you really are getting more bang for your buck by using it at that existing area that's being fed. Now here it's kind of interesting. You want to be careful how you place those two gold mines. You want them down where you can actually have a loop. See this loop right here? We're going to have like a little recruiting loop. If you don't put them in there like that and you back them up, you could actually put both of those back a little bit. One, they'd have to walk farther, which is not a huge deal. Oh, and by the way, here I was illustrating something that is a change. In the original game, there was a little there was a way that you could walk through those dunes that had just enough flat tiles that you could snake through those dunes. And it makes all the difference in the world, because if we can walk through the dunes, we would not need this second housing block. We would just build one housing block and let those two mines over there come over through the dunes and do their get their employees off those same two houses. Maybe we'd move the houses further out to do that, but just the same, we would not need an entire second block. But because the developers, when they gave us the modern version, did not put that path in there, it plays a little differently. We've got to have a second housing block now, and so what we're going to do is kind of duplicate what we've got on the first one over here into a second one, and get it going, so that we can recruit for architect and two gold mines up there. So now we're setting up another little recruiting worker block for our hunting, and also to get that ferry manned. Right now it doesn't need to be manned. The immigrants can come over without it being manned. And here I've messed up on the gods again. What have I done? What have I done? Lost. Gosh. Oh, and I had such an easy solution, and I just forgot. I forgot to put temples on these two blocks, so I put Ra on one and Ta on the other. And if I'd done that 30 seconds ago, would have been so much better. So much better. But anyway, so Minnefer will buy more pottery. Good, we're happy to sell them more pottery. And there's our burn up storage yard. Todd did it to us. Got a little unemployment, so let's push up the beer just a little bit more. And we're looking pretty good over here in our recruiting. Notice we haven't done anything with that copper, because I want to make sure that our economy is stable. Importing copper is extremely expensive, but now we're looking pretty good. We got the gold going, so now we can start importing copper. We'll open up the trade route to Wast. That's it, Wast. That's how he said it. And I'm going to set it to import to 1,600. That's a lot. But remember, we already have 1,100. So basically, I'm just telling it to buy 500 more. And I don't have any weaponsmiths yet, so it's just going to be basically getting us 1,600, which is enough to put in an infantry fort. So I'm checking it. It looked like it was already there, but it didn't. The trader has not come and sold us the copper yet. Now he has. And now I'm going to just turn it off. We really can't afford it yet. But we can afford that purchase, so now we can put in weaponsmiths and have them take the copper that we have, the 1,600. That'll make 16 weapons. We need 16 weapons to do one infantry fort. So now we can get an infantry fort going without totally blowing our budget. And I want to set this to actually accept 3/4 of a yard of weapons. I decided not to touch that part of it yet. Eventually I'll set that down. It probably will. I can't say I did or didn't, but it should probably be at a 1/4 yard. So we've got our gold now, and we're doing okay on the army. But what about our navy and everything else? So we're going to need wood. And that was just to get us. We'll get that water trade route to mend the fur. They'll buy beer, and we're doing a pretty good job on our beer production now. So by opening that up and throwing down a dock, now we can trade on the river and sell our beer to mend the fare. Okay, so now we're going to set up the hunting so we can feed those 2 blocks up there. And there's good hunting on this side to the let's call it the southeast. So if we put down 4 hunting lodges, they're I would call it mildly inefficient because they are a little bit of a distance away, but it's not bad. We're going to go ahead and put in architect and fire, and then when we get then eventually we'll put in bazaars in each of our 2 blocks and let them sell the meat, and our folks can eat, and everybody's going to be happy. And also, since we put in the palace, we can start taxing. Now our tax collector is available to us, and this one over here will actually pay, decent taxes. Nothing great, but decent. So we're going to get rid of 2 more statues and use that space. We're going to leave room for a courthouse because eventually we're going to evolve this higher and start putting in some more housing up here. Okay, so here's the thing with this. What we're going to do is we're going to go right around this island, and we're going to set up our road right where it needs to be to support our warships, and we're going to have some transport ships, troop transport ships, and that one ferry landing there. And the thing of it is, once you figure this out, how it works, the landings, like right there is going to be our shipwright. Right down through here is going to be some warship wharfs. Right over here, we're coming down to we're going to use that for a let's see, what is a transport, and then another warship. So potentially only going to do 5 warships, because I still think we have that defect where you throw down that sixth one and then you have to hit the pause all the time and the battles don't work, and they really need to fix that. So this is an interesting block. Notice how these guys have their own little road here, and they're set back off that road that goes around the circle. But I'm actually thinking about that whole thing as our housing block, right? Because walkers are going to loop around the whole thing, and certain walkers are going to go right down that little road in the middle. So this is going to be our whole housing block, and we're going to set up this to accept wood, and we're going to start getting in some. What am I doing? I know what I'm trying to do, but I'm just amazed at how poorly I'm doing it. There we go. We're going to set it up to accept a quarter of a yard, and we're going to put in a shipwright. And see how these things just plug in. If you know your distances and you back them off the right distance, leave 2 gaps on the land. Then we're going to start setting up some warship wharfs, and we'll turn on the. I don't know. I can't remember if I did it before or after. We'll get the wood imported to make our ships. Now we've got a request for the chickpeas, which we can grow, and we need to get those out there and get this done. So we're going to go out and put in. And probably should have. This is something I could have done earlier. We're going to just keep doing our little straight lines and skipping one space, and I think I overdid it here. I think this is totally screwed up. You see these gaps are too wide there. Start that again. Okay, that's better. That's better. We need a gap of 1 between them. So now to get out of here, unfortunately, there's no nice, easy way to do it. So we're just going to snake along the edge here until we come across a flat spot, which is right. We're almost there to a spot where we can go in. You can only cross that dividing line, if you will, on a flat piece of ground rather than those curved pieces. So there we go. There they have road access, and we'll put in another workers camp to make sure that we can get those chickpeas going, and put in a storage yard, a couple of them, to accept the chickpeas and get that going. And again, we should have done this one earlier, but and our money's looking great, 8,300. I'm delighted. I keep looking up and being surprised by how nicely the money's going. So we're going to put in a second work camp. So we've got a total of 3 work camps, 1 kind of for the barley and 2 for the chickpeas that we're setting up. They're a little bit longer walk, plus there's going to be more of them, right? We're not going to stop with that. We're going to use this we're going to fill that request, but we're also going to start feeding our people with the chickpeas. There, I just saw it. The ordinary cottage can hold 60 versus the 28 that those little pre-food shanties can hold. I realized over here we do need our police. Now here's the one. See, because we're thinking of this as the whole thing is a block, the housing and the wharfs and the ferry and all that can share the same architect and fire, because they're going to go around and pass within the within two of the housing. The water, the reason I put it back there was mainly because it doesn't need fire or architecture support. It doesn't collapse, it doesn't burn, so it doesn't need somebody coming by it. So we got 6 months to do our chickpeas. We got an invasion. We fought it off. We did lose. We took some losses in that, but we won the battle. That's what matters. And now we've got some money. We're going to go ahead and do some importing. I thought about turning off the weapons. Now, this was an incomplete thought. I thought I'll turn it off until we gather up 1,600, so we don't keep buying. You know, in other words, I'm okay with spending enough money to buy 1,600 copper, but I don't want to just keep buying it and buying it and buying it. Then I realized, no, wrong. We took losses in the last battle. We've got to replace them, and we want to keep growing. So I turned it right back on. All right, so here we're going to go into kind of, let's call it phase 2 of our development of our area up here. What we're going to do is say, okay, Mr. Bazaar, buy pottery. We're going to set up one storage yard that has orders to get 1/4 yard of pottery. So it's going to run down there, grab pottery, and bring it back. And there we go. We've got enough chickpeas to fulfill that demand, and we can start feeding our worker block down here, our housing block. So we can set up the bazaar to sell those chickpeas. And here's where you have to be careful. If you get in a hurry and you just say, oh, they want money, I'll send it. This is where Thinis is trying to extort us. They're demanding money. They're not asking. This is not Pharaoh asking for money. Well, Pharaoh can demand, but Thinis cannot. They're our enemy, or they're going to be. Certainly going to be after this, because we're going to turn them down. So we're going to put a bazaar in here, and this make note of what I've done here. I'm going to buy game meat because it's right over there. See how much game meat we've accumulated. But I just made a mistake. Some of you, I'm sure, caught it. We'll see in a minute. But anyway, we've got bazaars now for both of the housing blocks around for the gold, and for our middle, our navy block. And there's that demand again. Nope, we're not going to do it. We got lots of money, but we're not giving you any. Now we can see our housing starting to evolve up there. And all that, when you see those rough cottages like that, the little green ones like that, that's when they need entertainment. So I decided, since it's a short block, why not just throw a pavilion in there? Just let them, let's get some dancing going. Let's get some music and some juggling, and let that walker from the pavilion go out and give everybody their entertainment value, and we should be able to evolve the houses just fine by doing that. Now, that's an intersection. You can see how the walkers get in there and kind of bounce back and forth. You do not want that on a big, long block. But this is a short, did this intentionally, the whole thing, because it's a short block. It's just long enough to get out there to staff the gold mines. That's all it's for. And so we're not trying to make a block with 18 houses in it or anything like that. We're just trying to have some houses that can evolve and be healthy and eventually make us money on taxes and stuff, and they will eventually, get big enough to be taxed and make us some money. Right now, we're only taxing the one we've developed. Now we're going to put in another infantry for it because our money really is looking good now. We're at 18,000, so we're getting better. Now Hin and Nesu got mad at us. We didn't meet their demands. They basically kind of declared war on us, and so they're going to shut down. That shuts down Salty and Hum and probably Nakin. So we lose four towns because of that, because we're really at war now. They are not pleased at all that we didn't give in to their demands. And now that we have the ability to make taxes, we really want to involve our housing, because that's where your money can really get solid, and you can become kind of independent of your trade to the point where if all your trade shuts down on you, you're still covering your expenses and able to function, and you can still grow your military a little bit because you've got the money. So we're going to start putting in entertainment down here, and now that we've got them all fed with the chickpeas, we can put in our entertainment venues and put in our schools to support them, and now we've got now we're just going to start, like I said, we're going to start developing this block, and it'll go quickly to ordinary cottage. Now you can click on that one and see it has a desirability problem. It should have expanded if you look at what we've got going on there. So if you click on it, it tells you. So we're going to just put a couple of Osiris shrines, one to Ra, one to Ta. That's going to make it look nicer there. And sure enough, there they are. They're ordinary cottages. And probably on that other block, we've probably got the same issue. Oh wait, we got a different issue there. We don't have any entertainment in that block. So I'm going to try to do the same approach, but decided, hey, wait a minute, let's just put a bandstand there. So we got a bandstand in there, and we can start adding some housing, recruiting some more people into the area. We've already got our entertainment schools set up, so we should be good to go here. Now, these guys had a desirability issue, so we're just going to put some gardens in and pretty it up a bit. There we go, and that made the ooh, here's a pretty big battle. That's a big battle, and we won it pretty handily. It did take some losses, definitely, but we won the battle. So we definitely that was probably Hin and Nesu coming at us hard right there. Now we're going to bump it up and go to pottery. So we've got her up to ordinary cottages, and we want to keep expanding. We're going to pottery, and we're even going to add beer. Might as well just rip right through it and get these guys. There we go. Now we're getting those nice white, I forget what they're called. Homesteads? I forget what they're called. But if we give them a courthouse, then they'll go quickly to those nice apartments. And next step after this is papyrus and school, and then we have ordinary cottage or common residences. Oh, and you know what? I have yet to turn on the wood imports, and that was a mistake. So we will start importing a little bit of wood. And we're going to turn down the copper. to 400. We don't have to maintain 1600. We just need to be able to make some weapons. And we're going to have, like as I said, a total of 5 warship wharfs here. And look at this. See, we didn't have... What a goof that was. What a goof that was. Look at that. We took a big... And that was displayed incorrectly. We took a big hit there. At this point, I'm going, oh boy. If it had those ships, we could have intercepted those troops and not had to fight that out. As it was, we took a lot of losses on our ground troops because we didn't have our Navy ready. And that was all because I failed to import wood fast enough. Now I'm just double checking to make sure I've got it. And yes, it is turned on. It is importing. Hopefully we'll get it soon. And there's the goof I was talking about with the bazaar. I forgot I've got it back there in an area that with no fire or architecture support. So I don't know if it collapsed or burned down, but either way, it's not good. And what we're going to do now is just put it out here on the outer loop. It doesn't have to be in there. There's probably an incomplete thought on my part. So we're going to have it buy some game meat and buy some pottery. And here finally I punch in and say, wait a minute, we got a desirability issue up here. So let's take that same approach. We'll do a couple of Osiris, a Ra, and a Ta. Make that area more attractive, and there we go. And it's time for these people up here to pay their fair share. And actually, you do want to tax everywhere once you start taxing anywhere. Now, I say this, and I don't think I ever put taxes on that island, on those 2 houses, but where you can get a lot of unhappiness with taxes is not necessarily, isn't always the rate. Sometimes it's the fact that my housing block's paying taxes and nobody else is. What's the deal? All right, really good start. We're going to stop right here. It's the end of part 2, and we will come back next time and see if we can't finish this off and win the Thinis mission. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Pharaoh, A New Era video. Thank you.